everybody wants to know, how did you get that name Silky?
Back in 1958, I went to Christian Brothers.
All right.
And everybody had nicknames like GK.
All right.
And there was a famous horse. He ran out of California. He was named Silky Sullivan.
The horse was?
Yeah, so he came from behind, and he always used to come around, and then he invented the isolated camera. So they started calling me that in high school, so I kept it as a stage name.
As a stage
In case I went bad on one, I'd have another to fall back on, but I was lucky enough it worked out pretty good, so that's where I got the name from, a horse.
Wow. So you did go out to the Brothers, at Christian Brothers.
Yes, sir.
Then you went down to LSU.
Yes, sir, and about 8 others besides that.
And then you came back. You've seen a lot of talent in this city.
You know, I was lucky enough, George, to grow in that era from the 50s to about 75 when it ended. But that was probably, Memphis at that time was probably in the universe the place to be for music. I mean, we had everything. I mean, and it was being invented. And I mean, that was what, you know, you could go to any club. What was normal here in Memphis was spectacular in any other city. And you and I lived the life. We lived it, we saw it, and you can't erase that. And God's been good to me and let me be on you were in the engine room, I was just on the upper deck, and I saw it, and I'm very proud to say that I grew up in Memphis, and I'm proud of Memphis.
Well, we're proud to have you. Your namesake here, Silky. So did you ever think, by any stretch of the imagination, I know you were in Overton Square for a minute, but then you went down to Beale Street, and Beale Street caught fire. Did you ever think it would be as hot and popular as it is?
No, George, with my Louisiana influence that I've always felt close to, that I've always realized Bourbon Street in New Orleans, where you can talk about New Orleans, but the name Bourbon Street sticks out.
Right, right.
But as far as blues and music, history speaking, Beale Street would always stick out. So I realized that. I saw the geographics changing in our city, so I went down and gambled on Beale Street, and it was a great gamble because it paid off.
I know it's a tough question, but how would you compare New Orleans to Memphis?
New Orleans is a much cleaner, smellier, nicer smelling place, more lively, not as crazy with sex and all those other things that New Orleans has. I think Memphis is the southern fun capital of the world, and I think it's great, and it's going to continue to be great in our lifetime.
Okay, now, Silk, are you going to go back to New Orleans? I know you were head of what were you, the head of the parade?
I've been king down at Mardi Gras 3 times, and I'm going to be king next year and the year after that. I've gotten to be a habit of collecting kingships down there. But I also had a Silkies down there for 5 years.
Yeah.
But I realized that it's hard to have 2 masters running back and forth. So one day I said, I feel like staying in Memphis. So I sold it 2 months before Katrina.
That's what you told me that one day.
I escaped all that, but I'm back here in Memphis, and like I said, if you're going to spend your last days of your winter time of life, what a better place than Memphis.
Boy, but you're going to be back in New Orleans as head of the parade next year.
Yeah, king. I'll be king.
Can I come down and join you?
Absolutely. You can be the Duke of Earl.
Be the Duke of Earl.
Yeah, drop to your knees with a cape on, coming down St. Charles Street.
James Brown.
That's exactly right.
Duke, all the talents you've seen, Silk, who's your favorite came out of Memphis?
Well, of course, your buddy
Elvis
is you know, people in Memphis doesn't realize how powerful that is. You can go 80% of the world, and you say Memphis, they don't even know where it is. But you mention Elvis, they know where Graceland is. That man did some damage on putting his name in the world. I mean, it's just, I don't think it'll ever happen again. I mean, they talk about the Beatles, they talk about this, they talk about that. But we invented rock and roll. All these other towns are trying to take claim for it. And I take great honor of saying that you and Dewey Phillips played a major part in creating Elvis.
Thank you so much, Silk.
That music, they'd spin those records, and you in the background, I'm telling you, all you young people out there don't realize who this is. This man was before Dick Clark, I'll just put that to you. And he has put his footprints on this city that will never be erased, and I'm saying this right in front of TV. What I love being on this show most of all is to let you know that you're a friend of mine, and I stick by you, rain, snow, sleet, whatever, and I'm proud to be your friend.
Same here. Gosh, Silky, thanks so much. Very nice words coming from you because you know what you're talking about, and you're part of Memphis, too.
Thank you, sir.
You certainly are.
I believe in Memphis.
Appreciate all the nice words there.
Thank you, my friend.
Is it, Bill, one other question, I'll let you go. The building that you're in on Beale Street is really 100 years old.
Yeah, it's 110 years old. It was built by the Galenas. Family. He was kind of like a sports figure, and it had horse bedding hotels, and all the opera stars stayed there. It was, you know, back then that was before Prohibition, and Memphis was pretty wide open. The history of Memphis speaks for itself.
Okay, Herbie O'Mell, my producer, says that if you run for mayor next time, he's going to campaign for you.
Well, I'm glad somebody would.
So thanks
Thank
so
you,
much.
my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Memphis, the great Silky Sullivan on Memphis Sounds with GK.